today's video, I want to show you how to create this interlaced hand lettering style. It has been super popular on my Instagram and TikTok, and so I thought I'd create a step-by-step tutorial for you. I'm using this style for all my journal headers and Procreate stack covers, but of course you could also use it for greeting cards or invitations or wedding stationery. So now let's get started. You're going to create a new canvas, and you can use any size canvas. I'm using the screen size canvas here, which is 2732 by 2048 pixels. And then we're going to rotate the canvas around like this. So now let's prepare the canvas a little bit first. We're going to open up the layers panel and we're going to create a few additional layers. The top layer is what we are going to use to create the background texture. And in order to do that, I'm going to use one of my paper texture brushes. I really like using the watercolor paper 3 brush. So let's select this, and then also let's select the black color. And now we can paint the paper texture on the canvas just like that. Then you want to open up the layers panel again, and you want to change the blend mode of this layer to multiply. And to make sure that you're not accidentally painting on this layer, I recommend that you lock it and then it stays safely in place. Any of the lettering and the painting that we are going to do is going to happen on the layers below our texture layer. Now we are going to select layer 1, and we are going to fill this layer with our background color. Because it's Christmas, I thought it would be nice to use quite a dark blue. If you wanted to follow along and use the same color, here is the hex number for this color swatch. And so all we have to do is drag the color swatch onto the canvas to fill this layer with blue. All right, so we're going to open up the layers panel again and select the next layer above. And this is where we're going to create the text layer. So now we're going to go to our actions menu and then add text. And we're going to write the word December here. I like using caps lock, so I'm just going to type in December like this. And then we're going to edit the text. So we double tap on the text and then tap on the font name. And I like using Gilson for this, and I like using the light font style as well. So now what you want to do is drag the handles here a little bit so that the lettering comes a little bit closer to the edge. You don't want to make it all the way to the end. You want to leave a little bit of space for your entry stroke and for your exit stroke. But so now we can increase the font size a little bit, and then we can also space out the letters ever so slightly by increasing the tracking here. And then we can make the size a little bit bigger. And now it's looking good. So now we can unselect this. And now we want to place our letters in the center of the screen. So we're going to select them and then turn on snapping. And now we can move this into the center like this. And you can see the yellow guidelines that are coming out like this. And then the next step is to create our hand lettering piece here. And for this, I'm going to use the iPad gradient lettering outline brush, which is part of my gradient lettering brush set. Of course, you can use any other lettering brush that you have, but I particularly like this brush because it creates a super nice gradient. And this is what we're going to do next. So we're going to open up the color picker, and now we need to set the 2 different colors. For the first color, I'm going to select quite a dark blue, and then the second color is a very light white. You might need to play around with this for a little bit to dial in the colors exactly the way you want. And then on a new layer, we can try this out now. I'm just going to write anywhere just to get a little feel for what this looks like. And this is really nice. It creates the gradient, but it also creates a really nice contrast between the white and the dark blue. Alright, so now we can write our lettering piece here. We're going to create a very thin entry stroke here. And so now the trick is to create your letters in a way so that they're crossing the line as close as possible to a 90-degree angle. And then you also want to think about your next letter, where that's going to go. For the E, I want this to kind of hang from this other E. And then the C is probably going to be a little bit difficult, but that's fine. We can just create it like that. And then we're going to create the E again. And then again with the M. You're probably going to have to try this a few times to get it right. I've done it quite a few times now, so I kind of know where to place my letters. Right, so this is looking really good. If you're not happy with your lettering, what you can do as well is open that layers panel, turn down the opacity of this layer, so you kind of have an idea of where the letters need to go. And then you can create a new layer, and then you can write over the top again. So this time it's much easier because I already know kind of where I have to aim at to create my letters. So here, for example, I want to make the difference between these two lines a little bit bigger, so the interlacing will look a little bit nicer. And then here as well, I want to take this up ever so slightly higher so that I can make this E look like it's going to hang from the middle part of the uppercase E. And then the C I want to make ever so slightly rounder. So this is a little bit hard because I'm going to have to finish the stroke here so that I can hang the E of this uppercase E again. And then maybe the M can be a little bit bigger. Alright, so now this looks really good. So we can turn the previous layer off and keep this one. So now in order to do the interlacing, we are going to duplicate the text layer, and then we're going to bring this above our lettering layer like this. So now it looks like the text is going to go over the top of our hand lettering. And now in order to hide certain parts, we're going to use the mask feature. Tap on that layer thumbnail and then tap on mask. And so now what we need to do is hide the parts that we don't want to see that kind of go behind our text. I usually like using a soft airbrush for this. But of course, again, you can use any of your favorite painting brushes for this. And so now the rule that I'm using to decide which lines need to be hidden, I always like to have one line that's behind and then the next one goes over the top. So the entry stroke here goes behind the D, and then this is the next line here, so this goes above. Make sure that you've got that black color selected. So now you can paint on top of this and you can bring back your letter like before. It kind of looks like magic, but it's really easy to do. So all you have to think about is this one goes over the top, follow the stroke. So this one goes behind, follow the stroke. This one goes over the top again, so we're going to paint on this again to bring it back. And then we're going to follow it. This one goes behind, this one goes over the top. And you can see now it looks like the E is kind of hanging here, which is really nice. This one goes behind, this one goes over the top. This one goes behind, this one goes over the top. This one goes behind. And so now here it's a little bit tricky. So we want part of the M to go over the top, this part here. But then the M kind of hangs on this part. So this one goes behind, this one goes over the top, this one goes behind, this one goes over the top, put this one behind, this one goes over the top, behind, over the top, behind, over the top, behind, over the top. And so now you can see the E is different from the other E's. So now it's up to you whether you want to have this go over the top, or maybe you want to change it up and maybe you want to have this a little bit different. It can certainly be like this as well, but it's totally up to you how you want to do this. And then we have the next one goes behind, this one goes over the top, this one goes behind, this one goes over the top, and this one goes behind. And so this is how easy it is to create your interlaced text. It can take a little bit of time to get your head around it, but as long as you keep thinking that one line goes behind and the next one goes over the top, you can't really make any mistakes. And then to make it a little bit nicer, we want to add a bit of a shadow as well. You can do one of two shadows. You can either create a shadow for your hand lettering text, or you can have a shadow for your printed text. And I usually like creating the shadow for my printed text. So now what we're going to do is duplicate the original text layer like this. And then with the bottom text, we're going to create the shadow. So the first thing we want to do is rasterize this text. On rasterize so that we can create a shadow. And for the shadow we're going to use Gaussian blur. So we're going to go to adjustments, select Gaussian blur, and then we're just going to blur this a little bit. You don't want to make it too much, maybe 4% is nice. And then we're going to select this and we're going to resize it. Make sure that you choose freeform here. And now you can drag this handle down and adjust the height of the shadow. And we're going to move it down a little bit. So it kind of sits underneath our lettering layer and it looks really cool, but it's a bit too intense. So we're just going to bring down the opacity ever so slightly of this layer. And a nice way of doing this is to actually turn the opacity off all the way and then turn it back up until you can barely see it. And then that's usually enough. And there you have it. This is how you can create an interlaced hand lettering text in Procreate. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'm also going to put up another couple of hand lettering tutorials so that you can keep watching and you can keep learning. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.